There are definitely some things that I would do a bit differently with my next book. Hey guys, I'm Marlene and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about what I would do differently with my next book. Before we dive into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell so you don't miss any updates. I upload new videos on Wednesdays and a book review every second Friday. So my debut novel, To Wear a Crown, released in May 2022. And I am super proud of this book. I don't think that there's anything that I would change with the product of this book. It's more around the process and what would work better for my next book. Also, I have to do my little self-plug here. To Wear a Crown is a political fantasy adventure novel for adults, and you can find the link to buy your copy in the description box below. It's available online wherever books are sold. So the first thing that I would do differently is not edit and rewrite while writing the first draft. So I say would do differently, but I'm already doing this differently because I'm already working on my next book. But when I started writing To Wear a Crown, I wasn't really set on what my writing process was. I'd been writing since I was a child, but I knew that for this one it was kind of a more professional. I really wanted to get this one out into the world, and I felt like this was the book to be my debut. But I was kind of still in the mindset of writing only as a hobby, and I was very insecure about my writing style, and my writing style was also changing a lot because I started To Wear a Crown straight out of high school, and then I went on to study an English degree and law and all of that and started working, and so that was a period of intense development in terms of your intellectual capability and the way you write and the things you want to write about. And so I ended up having to go back a lot and rewrite. So I would literally go and rewrite every scene twice as I went. That's insane. I would never do that now because it takes so much time. I also hand wrote the first two times and then typed the third time because I was so intent on getting it absolutely perfect by the time it was typed that I would write it, rewrite it, have someone read it, and then type it based on their feedback, which it took me 5.5 years to do the first draft of To Wear a Crown. 5.5 years. The editing and publishing and that whole process took me 1.5 years in comparison, which is also still a very long time, but you know, that's not the point here. So yeah, it was not an efficient, productive way to write a book at all, and I don't think it in any way kind of significantly improved the quality of the book either. And so with this novel that I'm currently drafting, which is a steamy fantasy romance inspired by Howl's Moving Castle, I am not editing as I go and not rewriting all the time. I'm writing the first draft just as a first draft. You know, if I read through the scenes to kind of get back into the story and I see like a typo, I might fix it, but I'm not going and saying, oh, the sentence structure is weird, I need to go and change it. I might make a comment or highlight it for myself for later, but that's it. And so that's definitely the first thing I'm doing a lot differently. The second one is to not have a really big fancy launch party. So for my debut, I had a big launch at a fancy restaurant. It invited all of my family and friends, had like book signings set up and merch and everything, had, you know, snack platters going out and waiters in a cash bar and everything. It was a whole event. And I don't regret the fact that I did it because it was my debut, and obviously being a published author has been my dream my entire life, and so it was something really, really big to celebrate for me. And so I'm not regretful of the fact that I did it, but I will not do it again because it was extremely expensive. Yes, I did sell books, but the amount that I got in from the book sales that evening is not near how much it cost to do the whole thing. And you can see in last week's video about how much I spent self-publishing, how much that launch party actually cost me. So yeah, for a second book, I think not worth it to go to that extent. Maybe have a small launch at a local bookstore or something like that, or maybe even a live stream launch online. Then the third thing that I'm going to do differently with this next book is to enroll it in KDP Select, or which means that it'll essentially be available on Kindle Unlimited. Now, for people who don't know what that means, KDP Select is part of the KDP publishing platform where you can enroll your ebooks, and then that means that your ebooks are available on Kindle Unlimited. So Kindle Unlimited is essentially a subscription service for readers. So people pay a monthly fee to be on Kindle Unlimited, and then they can read as many ebooks as they want in that month, as opposed to, buying ebooks individually. And so you can only be available on Kindle Unlimited to those subscribers if you are enrolled in KDP Select. The downside of this is that you have to be exclusive to Kindle, which means that you cannot sell your ebook on any other platform. You're only on Kindle. Paperback you can still go wide on. Now, I don't necessarily think that this is a better strategy than going wide with your ebook. I just think that it really depends on where your income comes from and very much the genre and category of your book. So for To Wear a Crown, I went wide. So that means that the ebook is available wherever ebooks are sold. It's everywhere. It's not on Google Play, but it's on all of the other platforms. And I'm really happy with this. I think it works for To Wear a Crown, and I'm not going to change the distribution of To Wear a Crown, but for my next book, I think it would be a good idea to do KDP Select and have it in Kindle Unlimited. This is because Kindle Unlimited, or KU, is huge on BookTok, and we all know that BookTok is taking over the publishing industry and the reading sphere, because it also makes it easier for readers to invest in writers that they don't really know, because they're not buying it, they're not really spending any money on that specific book, and so it's easier for them to go, yeah, let me try this. Also, my next book, like I said, is a steamy fantasy romance, and this is a big BookTok genre, but also B, a genre that does very, very well on KU, because fantasy romance readers tend to be speed readers or binge readers. They want a specific type of book and they consume it very quickly, one after the other, and so that's why fantasy romance specifically does really, really well on KU. You're also paid for your pages read instead of a lump sum when your book is bought. And that's also great because I tend to write very long books, and so if you're paid for pages read, that kind of works out if you're someone who writes long books. Plus, even for To Wear a Crown, which isn't as perfect for KU, about 90% of my ebook sales come from Amazon/Kindle anyway. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that going with KU will be my approach to all my books, or that it's my advice to go for it always. But I think that just the circumstances for this next book is kind of perfect for KU. Then the fourth thing that I would do differently is to use premium shipping for my Ingram Spark proof/author copies right from the beginning. So the first time I ordered my Ingram Spark proof copy of the paperback, I used standard shipping because it's a lot cheaper. I ordered it in January of 2022. It reached me at the end of April of 2022. Keeping in mind my book was being published in May. and I still didn't have my proof copy that I had uploaded in January. So it's, I was starting to get kind of antsy about it around beginning April, and so I emailed Ingram Sparks help center or whatever, and they essentially told me they can't do anything because standard shipping doesn't come with tracking. So anyway, so then I went ahead and I ordered 3 author copies / proof copies, whatever, with premium shipping. Very expensive, but it reached me 2 weeks later. And if you live in South Africa, 2 weeks for something from the US is quite quick. And it was delivered straight to my door. The other copy I still had to go collect at the post office and pay an extra levy on because of the, the post office levy or whatever. Whereas the premium shipping, I had a tracking number, it came very, very quickly, and it was delivered straight to my door. So in the end, it ended up costing me much more because I'd gone the standard shipping route first. So next time I will just, from the start, order my Ingram Spark proofs with premium shipping. Think about the genre and category of the book right from the beginning. So with To Wear a Crown, like I said, I was straight out of high school, wasn't really thinking commercially with writing. I was just writing the story that wanted to come out of me, which I think it's a good way to go. But it is also nice to kind of have a bit more knowledge of the commercial aspects of writing a book and selling a book. And so the genre and category for To Wear a Crown changed so many times. I had no idea where it fit in. It is a difficult book to classify still, I'm going to be honest, which is why it's good to think about these things at the beginning before you just kind of start writing a story. So To Wear a Crown went from upper YA to new adult, and now it's adult. So I ended up changing the characters' ages halfway through because the story was actually turning into an adult, new adult-y thing, and the characters were just too young. They were around 18 or so. And so I just made everyone about 2 years older, and that actually kind of fit the narrative much, much better. But then the genre as well, I didn't know whether it was dystopian, whether it was low fantasy, fantasy romance, whether it was political fantasy, epic fantasy. I was very confused about where this book fit in. It is a very difficult book to categorize. When you read it, I'm saying when and not if, because I trust that you will invest in this amazing book. You'll understand why I say it's difficult to categorize it. It's kind of an interesting spot in between genres. And so eventually I settled on a political fantasy for adults. However, political fantasy is not a particularly popular genre, and it's not one of the genres on Amazon or in the buy rack system. I couldn't just classify my book as political fantasy because that would get me nowhere, and so I ended up going with fantasy, action, and adventure, which it certainly is, but fantasy, action, adventure is a very big genre. There's a lot of competition, and it's also very wide, so there are a lot of different kinds of readers who read fantasy adventure, and so you run the risk of your book ending up with readers who aren't really the target audience and who don't really like the book because it's not actually what they like reading, or not finding the right readers and the ones who will adore this book. So yeah, that's one of the pitfalls I think with To Wear a Crown is its categorization. And so with this next book, I am very clear on where it fits in. And that's because that was on my mind from the very beginning. I'm not tailoring the story towards a specific category and genre, but I have a better understanding of these things. And so it's easier for me to have that kind of automatically in my head while I'm drafting. And so now I know this is an adult fantasy romance. So there are many like subgenres, very specialized subgenres within adult fantasy romance as well, so you can really hone in on the ideal readership, and it's still a popular genre and category. So having a clear concept helps a lot when you're writing, because you know what the kind of expectations are in terms of plot, but also in terms of cover design and marketing and all of those kind of things. It's always good to have a reader in mind while you're writing a book. And then the final thing I'm doing differently with this book is the format in which I'm writing it. So usually with a manuscript, you just have a Word document or Scrivener or whatever, and it's just A4 normal page, and you type it, and then afterwards you will format it and whatever. With this book, I almost said the title, which I'm not supposed to reveal yet, but with this new book, I actually set my page size and margins and everything the way it's going to be for the actual print book at the end. And yes, I know that I'll have to kind of have a different file for the ebook in order to convert that and all of that jazz, but it's going to help so much at the end not to have to go and change all of that when I get to the formatting. Because with ebook, I use Draft2Digital to format the ebook, and so you can just put a Word document or PDF into there and it'll format it for you. And so that the formatting there doesn't have to be perfect, so I can literally just copy the file I have now, set it to A4. Even if it doesn't look perfect, the formatting will still come with the Draft2Digital platform. But with the print formatting, I do that myself on Microsoft Word, and so it's just going to save so much time if it's already in the right format. And so when I do a chapter heading, I ensure that it's correct in terms of what I would like it to be formatted as. I might still change the design, but kind of just the spacing and the idea of a chapter heading and the start of a chapter, the page numbering, the headers, things like that, and that'll just make it much easier for me when the formatting stage comes. So yeah, those are the 6 things that I would do differently and am doing differently with my next book. But like I said, I wouldn't necessarily change anything with To Wear a Crown specifically. I think that it's ended up being a really, really great product, and I really enjoy the process and all of that, but it is a learning curve, and we'll always learn something from an experience and be able to do it better next time. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments, if you're a published author, what you learned from publishing your previous books and what you would want to do differently. Remember to hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell so you don't miss any updates. I post writing advice videos / vlogs every Wednesday and a book review every second Friday. You can also find me on my website, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and TikTok. All the links are listed below. Sign up for my newsletter as well. Link listed below. And then I will see you guys in Friday's video. Bye!